Goldie Hawn. Yes, that Goldie Hawn. The actress who has made us laugh until our sides hurt, cry until our hearts felt lighter, and reflect on life's deepest truths through her unforgettable performances, is so much more than a Hollywood icon. She's not just an entertainer. She's a visionary, a trailblazer, and a warrior for mental health. Beyond the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown, Goldie has dedicated her life to something far greater, helping children navigate the chaos of the modern world by equipping them with tools for happiness, resilience, and emotional balance. Can you imagine? An Oscar-winning actress stepping off the screen and into classrooms, advocating for emotional well-being and transforming lives. Isn't that extraordinary? Truly, it's a testament to the power of using one's platform for good. But what happens when someone like Goldie, a beacon of creativity, empathy, and action, meets a spiritual giant like the Dalai Lama? Imagine this. Two luminaries from vastly different worlds, one rooted in the dazzling realm of entertainment, the other steeped in centuries-old wisdom, coming together under the shared vision of fostering emotional intelligence and well-being. It's not just a meeting of minds. It's a fusion of purpose, passion, and possibility. Picture these two forces uniting, like two mighty rivers converging into one unstoppable force of change. How beautiful is that? Together, they remind us that compassion, mindfulness, and education are universal languages that transcend boundaries and speak directly to the human soul. Now, here's where you come in. If this story inspires you, if you believe in the transformative power of emotional education and want to be part of creating a kinder, more compassionate world, we need your help to spread the word. Subscribe to our channel to stay updated on stories like this, where science meets spirituality and ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. Share this video with your friends, family, and community, because awareness is the first step toward action. Together, we can amplify the message of Goldie Hawn, the Dalai Lama, and countless others who are working tirelessly to ensure every child grows up with the tools they need to thrive emotionally, socially, and intellectually. Let's make waves of change. One share, one subscription, one act of kindness at a time. Are you ready to join us? Their meeting wasn't just a casual exchange. It was a profound dialogue about the essence of human existence. A conversation that transcended cultural, professional, and philosophical boundaries. It wasn't merely two influential figures sharing ideas. It was a convergence of wisdom, experience, and vision, where each word carried the weight of decades of lived purpose. The Dalai Lama, with his gentle smile and timeless teachings, reminded everyone present, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. These words, simple yet deeply transformative, resonated like a universal truth, cutting through the noise of modern life. And then there was Goldie Hawn, with her infectious energy, echoing this sentiment through her groundbreaking work at MindUP. Together, they embodied an idea so powerful that it has the potential to reshape how we view happiness, not as a fleeting emotion or external achievement, but as a skill, one that can be nurtured, practiced, and mastered over time. Imagine sitting in that room, surrounded by the quiet hum of anticipation, as these two luminaries engaged in a discussion that felt both intimate and cosmic. Picture the scene. The Dalai Lama, seated cross-legged, exuding calmness and compassion, his presence alone a lesson in mindfulness. Across from him, Goldie Hawn, vibrant and passionate, leaning forward with curiosity and enthusiasm. Her eyes, alight with the fire of someone who has dedicated herself to making the world a better place. They spoke of compassion, not as an abstract concept, but as a tangible force capable of healing divisions and fostering connection. They delved into mindfulness, exploring its roots in ancient traditions while emphasizing its relevance in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world. And perhaps most importantly, they discussed the transformative power of education, the idea that teaching children emotional intelligence could ripple outward, touching families, communities, and ultimately society as a whole. What would it feel like to witness such a moment? To hear the Dalai Lama speak of inner peace as though it were as natural as breathing, and to see Goldie Hawn translate those principles into actionable strategies for classrooms around the globe. Would you leave that room unchanged? I doubt it. Such encounters have a way of embedding themselves in our consciousness, leaving imprints that linger long after the moment has passed. You might find yourself reflecting on their words during moments of stress or uncertainty, recalling the Dalai Lama's assertion that happiness is within our control, or Goldie's insistence that even small acts of kindness can create waves of change. The depth of their conversation likely touched on questions that go to the heart of what it means to be human. How do we navigate suffering? What does it mean to live a meaningful life? Can education truly shape not just minds, but hearts? Their shared belief in the interconnectedness of all beings, whether expressed through Buddhist philosophy or modern neuroscience, offered a unifying message. We are all part of something greater than ourselves, and our individual actions contribute to the collective well-being of humanity. This realization isn't just inspiring, it's empowering. It reminds us that no matter who we are or where we come from, we have the capacity to make a difference. As the dialogue unfolded, you might have noticed subtle shifts in the atmosphere of the room, laughter breaking out when Goldie shared a light-hearted anecdote about working with children, followed by moments of profound silence as the Dalai Lama articulated the importance of cultivating compassion in a fractured world. There would be nods of agreement, pens scribbling furiously in notebooks, and maybe even tears shed as participants connected with the deeper truths being shared. It wasn't just a meeting of minds. It was a meeting of souls, a reminder that despite our differences, we share common hopes, fears, and dreams. And yet, the impact of this meeting extended beyond the walls of that room. Conversations like these don't end when the participants disperse. They take on lives of their own, spreading through stories, initiatives, and movements. For those fortunate enough to attend, it was likely a catalyst, a spark that ignited new ways of thinking and acting. For others who would later learn about it, the meeting became a symbol of possibility, proof that collaboration between seemingly disparate worlds can lead to extraordinary outcomes. So, if you had been there, if you had sat in that room and absorbed even a fraction of the wisdom exchanged, what would you take away? Perhaps a renewed commitment to practicing mindfulness in your daily life. Maybe a deeper appreciation for the role of education in shaping not just intellect, but character. Or simply the conviction that happiness, far from being elusive, is something we can actively cultivate through intention and effort. Whatever it was, one thing is certain: walking away unchanged would have been impossible. Let me ask you something deeply personal. What do we truly want for our children? Is it success defined solely by grades, accolades, or wealth? Or is it something far more profound? A life filled with meaning, connection, and joy. Emotional education, or social emotional learning, SEL, addresses this very question in ways that traditional academic systems often overlook. It equips children not just to survive but to thrive, not merely academically, but emotionally, socially, and even spiritually. In a world where the storms of life are inevitable, SEL provides the compass and anchor needed to navigate them. MindUp's approach is revolutionary because it marries cutting-edge neuroscience with ancient mindfulness practices, creating a bridge between science and soul. Imagine teaching kids about their brains. The amygdala, which acts as the brain's alarm system, triggering emotions like fear and anger. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational decision-making and impulse control. And the hippocampus, which helps process memories and regulate stress. Now, imagine showing children how these parts interact during moments of emotional turbulence. When a child learns to recognize anger rising within them, like a storm cloud forming on the horizon, and uses deep breathing techniques to calm themselves, isn't that empowering? It transforms an abstract concept into a tangible skill. As Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And what greater gift can we give a child than the ability to understand themselves deeply? But let's take this further. Consider the ripple effects of such knowledge. A child who understands their brain's response to stress can better manage anxiety before it spirals out of control. They learn to pause before reacting impulsively, choosing instead thoughtful responses rooted in self-awareness. This isn't just theoretical. It's practical, actionable, and transformative. For instance, when a student realizes that taking 3 deep breaths activates their parasympathetic nervous system, slowing their heart rate and calming their mind, they gain agency over their emotions. Doesn't that shift the narrative from helplessness to empowerment? And yet, SEL goes beyond self-awareness. It fosters empathy, gratitude, and resilience, qualities that aren't just nice-to-haves, but essential survival skills in today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world. Think about it. How many adults struggle with relationships, careers, or mental health because they never learned how to truly listen, show compassion, or bounce back from failure? Empathy allows children to step into someone else's shoes, fostering kindness and reducing conflict. Gratitude shifts their focus from scarcity to abundance, helping them appreciate what they have rather than obsessing over what they lack. Resilience teaches them that setbacks are not permanent, but opportunities for growth. These skills don't just prepare children for school, they prepare them for life. Consider the societal implications of widespread emotional education. If every child grew up understanding how to regulate their emotions, empathize with others, and persevere through challenges, wouldn't our communities be kinder, more compassionate, and more cohesive? Wouldn't workplaces become more collaborative, families more harmonious, and societies more just? Emotional education has the potential to address some of humanity's most pressing issues: bullying, loneliness, inequality, and even violence, by tackling them at their root, the human heart. So I'll ask again, don't you think this matters? Because if we're serious about building a brighter future, we must start with the hearts and minds of our youngest generation. After all, as the Dalai Lama reminds us, the purpose of life is to be happy, and happiness, as both he and Goldie Hawn would agree, begins with emotional intelligence. Mindfulness, the cornerstone of both Mind-Up and Buddhist philosophy, is more than a practice. It's a way of being. It's not something you simply do for 10 minutes a day or during designated meditation sessions. It's a lens through which you can view life itself. Have you ever stopped to truly notice the present moment? To listen to the sound of rain falling, each drop distinct yet part of a symphony. To feel the warmth of sunlight on your skin without judgment, without labeling it as good or bad, but simply allowing it to exist as it is. This simple act, this conscious presence, can transform not only how we relate to ourselves, but also how we connect with the world around us. When we are fully present, even in the most mundane moments, life takes on a richness and depth that often goes unnoticed in our fast-paced, distracted existence. As the Dalai Lama says, if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation. Think about that. 1 generation. Isn't that worth striving for? These words carry profound weight because they challenge us to reimagine what's possible. Imagine a world where children grow up learning to sit quietly with their thoughts, to breathe through discomfort, and to approach conflict with calmness rather than aggression. Such skills don't just benefit individuals. They ripple outward, shaping families, communities, and entire societies. Violence, after all, often stems from fear, anger, and misunderstanding. All emotions that mindfulness helps to untangle. By teaching children and adults to pause before reacting, we plant seeds of peace that have the potential to blossom into global transformation. But here's the catch. Mindfulness isn't just for children. It's for everyone. Adults play an equally critical role in this equation. Children learn by example, and when adults model mindfulness, they create ripples of peace that extend far beyond themselves. Consider the parent who practices mindful listening when their child speaks. Not interrupting, not planning their response while the child is talking, but truly hearing them. Or the teacher who takes 3 deep breaths before addressing a challenging situation in the classroom. These small acts of mindfulness may seem insignificant, but they hold immense power. They teach by demonstration, showing children that mindfulness isn't just a concept to be learned, but a way of living that fosters connection, understanding, and compassion. Philosophically speaking, mindfulness invites us to confront some of life's deepest questions. What does it mean to truly live? How do we find meaning in a chaotic world? And how can we cultivate inner peace amidst external turmoil? Mindfulness doesn't provide easy answers, but it offers a path, a way of engaging with these questions openly and honestly. It asks us to let go of the relentless pursuit of future goals and instead embrace the beauty of the present moment. In doing so, we begin to see that happiness isn't something to chase. It's something to experience right here, right now. Moreover, mindfulness challenges the modern myth of multitasking and constant productivity. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, where being busy is often equated with being valuable. But mindfulness flips this narrative on its head, reminding us that true fulfillment comes not from doing more, but from being more. It encourages us to slow down, to savor the small joys, a shared laugh, a kind word, a quiet sunrise, and recognize that these moments are the essence of life itself. As Thich Nhat Hanh, another great spiritual leader, once said, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." Finally, mindfulness has a paradoxical quality. It is both deeply personal and profoundly universal. On one level, it's an intimate journey inward, a process of self-discovery and healing. Yet, at the same time, it connects us to something larger than ourselves, to the shared human experience of breathing, feeling, and existing. When we practice mindfulness, we tap into a collective consciousness that transcends borders, cultures, and ideologies. We realize that the same breath that sustains us also sustains others, binding us together in a web of interdependence. And perhaps that's the greatest gift of mindfulness. It reminds us that we are never truly alone. So, I ask again, isn't this vision worth striving for? A world where mindfulness becomes second nature, where every interaction is infused with awareness and care, and where peace begins not with grand gestures, but with quiet, intentional moments of presence. The journey starts with us, with each breath, each thought, and each choice to show up fully for life. Of course, no journey is without its hurdles. Critics argue that bringing mindfulness into schools risks cultural appropriation. Shouldn't we honor the origins of these practices while adapting them for modern use? Absolutely. Respect is key. Mindfulness, rooted deeply in ancient Eastern traditions like Buddhism, carries centuries of spiritual significance. When these practices are stripped of their cultural and religious contexts and repackaged for secular purposes, there's a valid concern that their essence may be diluted or misrepresented. For example, meditation and mindful breathing were originally designed as pathways to enlightenment, self-realization, and spiritual growth, not just tools for stress reduction or academic performance. So, how do we strike a balance? How do we adapt mindfulness in a way that respects its origins while making it accessible and relevant to diverse audiences? This question isn't just philosophical, it's practical. It requires us to approach mindfulness with humility, curiosity, and a commitment to honoring its roots. Schools implementing SEL programs must ensure that teachers are trained not only in the techniques, but also in the cultural and historical significance behind them. By doing so, we can avoid reducing mindfulness to a mere trend and instead preserve its depth and authenticity. Another challenge lies in implementation. How do we ensure that underfunded schools have access to these programs? Equity is at the heart of this issue. While affluent school districts may have the resources to hire dedicated SEL instructors, provide professional development for teachers, and purchase high-quality materials, underfunded schools often struggle to meet even the most basic educational needs. In such environments, SEL programs can feel like a luxury rather than a necessity. Yet, paradoxically, these are the very communities where emotional education is needed most. Children growing up in poverty, facing systemic inequities, or dealing with trauma require tools to regulate their emotions, build resilience, and foster hope. Denying them access to SEL programs perpetuates cycles of disadvantage. Addressing this challenge requires creative solutions, such as public-private partnerships, grants, and community-based initiatives that prioritize equity and inclusion. We must ask ourselves, if we truly believe in the transformative power of emotional education, shouldn't we fight to make it available to every child, regardless of their zip code? And then there's the question of measurement. How do we measure success when emotional growth doesn't always fit neatly into charts and graphs? Traditional metrics like test scores and attendance rates are relatively straightforward to track, but assessing qualities like empathy, self-awareness, and emotional regulation is far more nuanced. A child who learns to pause before reacting impulsively may not see an immediate improvement in their grades, But over time, this skill could lead to healthier relationships, better decision-making, and increased confidence. Similarly, a student who practices gratitude daily might not show measurable changes in behavior right away, but years later, they may approach life with greater optimism and resilience. These outcomes are harder to quantify, but no less valuable. To address this challenge, educators and researchers must develop innovative evaluation methods, such as qualitative assessments, longitudinal studies, and feedback loops involving students, parents, and teachers. By broadening our definition of success, we can capture the full impact of SEL programs and advocate for their continued support. These questions remind us of a universal truth. Progress requires patience and perseverance. As Lao Tzu wisely stated, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Every small effort counts, but let's not underestimate the weight of those steps. Each decision to honor cultural origins, to invest in underserved communities, to redefine success, shapes the trajectory of emotional education. And while the road ahead may be fraught with challenges, it's important to remember why we started this journey in the first place. To create a world where every child has the opportunity to thrive emotionally, socially, and intellectually. So, as we navigate these controversies and obstacles, let's do so with courage and conviction. Let's listen to critics, learn from their perspectives, and use their insights to refine our approaches. Let's advocate for policies and funding that prioritize equity and accessibility. And let's celebrate the small victories along the way. The classroom where children begin to understand their emotions. The teacher who feels empowered to lead SEL activities. The parent who notices a positive shift in their child's behavior. Because ultimately, progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And every step forward, no matter how small, brings us closer to a brighter, more compassionate future. What fascinates me most is the convergence of science and spirituality in MindUp's mission. Neuroscience validates what spiritual traditions have known for centuries. Our minds are malleable, capable of growth and transformation. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, is a concept that bridges ancient wisdom with modern understanding. For generations, spiritual teachings have emphasized the power of intention, mindfulness, and compassion to shape our inner worlds. Today, neuroscience provides empirical evidence to support these claims, proving that we are not prisoners of our pasts. We can rewrite our stories. Doesn't that give you hope? It's as if science has finally caught up with the timeless truths whispered by sages, monks, and philosophers across millennia. This intersection of science and spirituality is not just fascinating, it's profoundly liberating. Imagine the implications. Every thought, every action, every moment of mindfulness or gratitude has the potential to reshape your brain and, by extension, your life. This realization dismantles the myth that we are static beings, stuck in patterns of behavior or emotion. Instead, it empowers us to take ownership of our mental landscapes, to cultivate habits that foster joy, resilience, and connection. Whether through meditation, prayer, or simply pausing to breathe deeply, we are engaging in practices that science now confirms can physically alter our brains for the better. Isn't it awe-inspiring to think that something as simple as focusing on the present moment can create lasting change? Consider dopamine and serotonin, the brain's happy chemicals. These neurotransmitters play a pivotal role in regulating mood, motivation, and overall well-being. Dopamine, often referred to as the reward chemical, is released when we experience pleasure or achieve a goal. Serotonin, on the other hand, contributes to feelings of happiness, contentment, and emotional stability. Activities like setting goals, practicing gratitude, and engaging in acts of kindness stimulate the release of these chemicals, creating a virtuous cycle of positivity. When we set achievable goals and work toward them, we activate dopamine pathways, reinforcing a sense of accomplishment and motivation. Similarly, when we practice gratitude, whether by journaling, reflecting, or expressing appreciation, we boost serotonin levels, fostering a deeper sense of satisfaction and peace. Gratitude, in particular, holds immense power. As Melody Beatty so eloquently put it, gratitude turns what we have into enough. This simple yet profound insight challenges the pervasive mindset of scarcity that dominates modern culture. In a world obsessed with more money, more success, more possessions, gratitude reminds us to pause and appreciate what we already have. It shifts our focus from lack to abundance, from dissatisfaction to contentment. Isn't that a lesson we could all benefit from? Gratitude doesn't just make us feel good. It rewires our brains to notice the positives in life, even amidst challenges. Over time, this practice can transform our outlook, helping us approach life with greater optimism and resilience. But the beauty of this intersection lies not only in its scientific validity or spiritual depth, but also in its universality. Regardless of cultural background, religious belief, or personal philosophy, the principles of neuroplasticity, mindfulness, and gratitude resonate with everyone. They speak to a shared human desire for growth, connection, and meaning. Science provides the how, the mechanisms behind these transformations, while spirituality offers the why, the purpose and values that guide our journey. Together, they create a holistic framework for understanding what it means to be human. Moreover, this convergence invites us to rethink the way we approach education, mental health, and personal development. If we know that practices like mindfulness and gratitude can physically alter the brain, shouldn't we prioritize teaching these skills to children? Shouldn't we integrate them into workplaces, healthcare systems, and communities? By blending scientific rigor with spiritual wisdom, programs like MindUp offer a blueprint for nurturing healthier, happier, and more compassionate individuals. And isn't that the ultimate goal of humanity? To create a world where everyone has the tools to thrive. So, as we marvel at the intersection of science and spirituality, let's remember that this isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a call to action. Each of us has the power to harness these insights, to engage in practices that not only improve our own lives, but also ripple outward, touching the lives of others. Whether through a daily gratitude practice, a moment of mindful breathing, or an act of kindness, we are participating in a grand experiment. The transformation of humanity. One brain, one heart, and one story at a time. Doesn't that fill you with a sense of purpose and possibility? So where do we go from here? How do we expand the reach of emotional education to every corner of the globe? The answer lies in addressing multiple layers of implementation, collaboration, and commitment. Global accessibility, parental involvement, teacher training. All of these are crucial components that require thoughtful planning and sustained effort. But perhaps the most important factor is belief. We must believe in the potential of every child to thrive emotionally, socially, and intellectually. Belief is the spark that ignites action. It's the unwavering conviction that no matter a child's background, circumstances, or challenges, they deserve the tools to build a fulfilling and meaningful life. Global accessibility begins with equity. Emotional education should not be a privilege reserved for affluent communities or well-funded schools. It must be a universal right. This means adapting programs like MindUp to fit diverse cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic contexts. For instance, translating materials into local languages, incorporating culturally relevant examples, and ensuring affordability for under-resourced schools are essential steps. It also involves partnering with governments, NGOs, and community organizations to create scalable models that can be implemented in both urban centers and remote villages. Imagine a world where a child in sub-Saharan Africa has the same access to mindfulness practices as a child in Silicon Valley. That vision is possible, but it requires bold action and collective effort. Parental involvement is another cornerstone of success. Emotional education doesn't end when the school bell rings. It must extend into homes and communities. Parents are a child's first teachers, and their role in reinforcing SEL skills cannot be overstated. Programs like MindUp offer resources for families, including workshops, books, and online tools to help parents support their children's emotional growth. Yet, fostering this partnership goes beyond providing materials. Schools and educators must actively engage parents, creating spaces for dialogue, collaboration, and mutual learning. When parents feel empowered and informed, they become powerful advocates for emotional education, amplifying its impact far beyond the classroom walls. Teacher training is equally vital. Teachers are the backbone of any SEL initiative, yet they often face significant challenges in implementation. Limited time, lack of confidence, and competing priorities among them. To address these barriers, comprehensive professional development programs must be made available, equipping educators with the knowledge, skills, and ongoing support they need to teach emotional education effectively. Mentorship networks, peer-to-peer, learning communities, and access to mental health professionals can further enhance their capacity. Importantly, we must recognize the humanity of teachers themselves. They too need opportunities for self-care, mindfulness, and emotional regulation to model these practices authentically for their students. Technology, often criticized for its role in mental health challenges, can also be part of the solution. Digital mindfulness apps, virtual learning platforms, and data-driven insights offer exciting possibilities for scaling emotional education globally. For example, digital mindfulness apps designed specifically for children provide guided meditations, breathing exercises, and interactive games that make learning fun and engaging. These tools allow students to practice mindfulness on their own time and at their own pace, reinforcing what they learn in the classroom. Virtual learning platforms, accelerated by the pandemic, have demonstrated the potential to deliver high-quality educational content to underserved populations. Meanwhile, data analytics can track the effectiveness of SEL programs, offering valuable insights into student outcomes and areas for improvement. By leveraging technology responsibly, we can overcome geographical, financial, and logistical barriers to emotional education. Yet, let's not forget the human element. After all, machines may teach us techniques, but only humans can inspire compassion. Technology is a tool, not a replacement for the warmth, empathy, and connection that define meaningful relationships. A child might learn how to regulate their emotions through an app, but it's the encouragement of a caring teacher, the understanding smile of a parent, or the supportive friendship of a peer that truly embeds those lessons in their heart. Emotional education is, at its core, about relationships, about seeing each other fully, listening deeply, and responding with kindness. As we embrace technological advancements, we must ensure that they complement, rather than overshadow, the human connections that lie at the heart of SEL. Finally, building a kinder world requires more than systemic changes. It demands a shift in mindset. We must move away from viewing emotional education as an optional add-on and recognize it as a fundamental pillar of holistic development. Every child deserves the opportunity to grow into a compassionate, resilient, and emotionally intelligent adult. And every adult has a role to play in making that vision a reality. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, a policymaker, or simply someone who cares about the future, your voice matters. Advocate for SEL programs in your community. Share stories of their impact. Support organizations working tirelessly to bring emotional education to those who need it most. Together, we can create a ripple effect of kindness that transforms lives. One child, one family, one community at a time. Isn't it time we took action? Because a kinder world isn't just a dream. It's a possibility within our grasp. All it takes is belief, collaboration, and the courage to take the first step. In closing, Goldie Hawn and the Dalai Lama remind us of a profound truth. True happiness stems from connection, to ourselves, to others, and to the world. Their collaboration is a beacon of hope, proving that science and spirituality can coexist harmoniously. This partnership transcends boundaries, blending ancient wisdom with modern innovation to create a roadmap for emotional well-being. It's a testament to the power of shared vision. Two seemingly disparate voices uniting under a common goal. To nurture compassion, mindfulness, and resilience in future generations. Isn't it remarkable how such collaborations can inspire us to rethink what's possible? As we look to the future, let's ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to leave behind? A fragmented one driven by fear and division? Or a unified, one built on kindness, understanding, and love? The choice is ours. Every decision we make, whether as individuals, educators, parents, or policymakers, shapes the trajectory of humanity. Will we prioritize short-term gains at the expense of long-term well-being? Or will we invest in systems, practices, and values that uplift everyone, regardless of background or circumstance? These questions are not rhetorical. They demand action. And while the challenges ahead may seem daunting, History has shown us, time and again, that collective effort can overcome even the greatest obstacles. Be the change that you wish to see in the world, Gandhi urged. His words resonate deeply here because they remind us that transformation begins within each of us. So let's start today with one mindful breath, one act of compassion, one lesson in gratitude. When we pause to breathe deeply, we anchor ourselves in the present moment, creating space for clarity and calm. When we extend kindness to another person, no matter how small the gesture, we plant seeds of connection that can grow into something extraordinary. And when we practice gratitude, even for the simplest things, we shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance, fostering a sense of fulfillment that radiates outward. Because in the end, it's not just about changing individual lives, it's about transforming humanity itself. Imagine the ripple effects of these small, intentional actions. A child who learns to regulate their emotions becomes an adult capable of navigating life's complexities with grace. A teacher who models empathy inspires students to treat others with respect and understanding. A community that prioritizes emotional education fosters citizens who contribute positively to society. These changes may begin quietly, almost imperceptibly, but over time, they accumulate into something transformative. A cultural shift toward greater compassion, resilience, and unity. Isn't that worth fighting for? Absolutely. But this fight doesn't require grand gestures or heroic feats. It starts with the choices we make every day, the way we speak to ourselves and others, the values we uphold, and the legacy we strive to build. As Goldie Hawn and the Dalai Lama have shown us, progress happens when we come together, bridging divides and working toward a shared vision. So let's carry their message forward, amplifying it through our actions, conversations, and commitments. Let's be the architects of a brighter, kinder, more connected world. One mindful moment, one compassionate act, one grateful heart at a time.